This is genuinely insane. Hi there, fellow roleplayers and game masters. My name is Mr. Tarosk, and this is still your go-to YouTube channel for anything Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition third-party related. And today I want to talk about the Amazing Encounters and Places, a book that I talked about nearly 2 years ago when it was still in a Kickstarter phase, but right now it landed on my doorstep, and I can legitimately say it is insanely high value content. The quality of this book, not only the quality of the writing, the quality of the artwork, the quality of just how it is set up, but also the content that is in here, the amount, and just more than I was expecting, gives this book an insane value. The potential playing hours, the potential hours you save as a game master when you're preparing for a game, the amount of plot points in here that you can actually use, it is just completely blows my mind, and that's not even its biggest selling point. So what I want to do with this review is, like always, two things. First, I want to talk about the book itself, what you get, like the physical copy, what's inside, what you can expect from it, the content that is in here, just a basic idea of what you get from Amazing Encounters and Places. And then I want to go into the PDF to kind of give you more of an insight of what all of that actually means, so you can decide yourself how deep in the review we want to go before you decide picking it up yourself. But for the love of God, pick this one up. I don't even know where to start with this one. I expected a bunch of encounters in a bunch of places, and the places I thought were just going to be like places like a spot in the forest or a tavern or maybe a keep or something like that, but it is entirely not the case. The places in here are almost mini campaign settings. The first one in here, for example, is an entire coastline with a port city and other places of interest, which gives you the opportunity to explore right off the bat, like for many levels for your party. Then every place has a bunch of separate encounters tied to it. Every encounter gives you a bunch of creatures you can use. There's new creatures in here that you can actually use. All of the encounters have their own little story tied to the place they're in, meaning that you can run them separately, you can run a few of them to kind of create your mini story. All of the encounters are perfectly scalable with like all of the tables you need to scale them super fast, super easy. There is an entire overarching plot per place where you can tie all of the encounters together, and if you decide to do so, there's even an extra encounter that ties all of the encounters together and gives you like this closure at the end of your mini campaign, which is not a mini campaign. It will give you a shit ton of sessions, and if creatures is not enough, if scalable shit is not enough, then hey, there's also magic items. And there's 8 such places in here, each with a ton of encounters. All encounters have their own battle map, and all places have their own maps, giving you a total of 48 battle maps you can play on your table or in your virtual tabletop. Oh, have I said there's player options in here, like the Reef touched? And you might be thinking, well, I never heard about that book, so it's probably just written like absolute complete shit. Which it isn't, because there's names in here like Jeff C. Stevens, JVC Perry, not just some random people. Really good writers, really good art. I mean, this book, I'm really excited about this one. I didn't expect it to be so amazingly good. I got it on my doorstep. I put it on my pile of to review stuff here, kind of ignored it for a few days, then opened it up, and it completely blew my mind. Oh shit. Ginny Loveday. Now, does that mean it is perfect? No, there's actually 2 things, nitpicky things, that I like about it a little bit less. But I will talk about that once we get in the PDF, which is right about now. So now that you have a basic idea of what amazing encounters and places is, let me guide you through the first part of the book and then the first place together with its encounters and monsters and tables and whatnot, just to give you an idea of what the book is and how they actually set it up. I don't want to go into the entire book. I don't want to go to all of the places, do all of the encounters, because first of all, that would spoil the entire book for you, but also this video would be way too long and YouTube would not push that video to you, I noticed, sadly. So I gotta keep this a little bit shorter, which is also fine because you get the main idea. So as you can see, Amazing Encounters and Places has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I forgot to count this one. 8 places with their encounters and their overarching story and all of that. And we will just go into the first one. So the first section of the book is just basically talking about what the book is, how you can scale for tiers of play, how you can run the encounters, how you have the maps that are in here, how you can use them, damage you can use for different tiers of play, for different like falling damage and stuff like that. How much falling damage does one person take when they are in tier 2 or in tier 3, all that stuff, how scaling combat works, and then they just go into it. And the first one, they talk about ghosts. Look at this beautiful piece of artwork. The artwork in this book, just as the writing and the layout and the editing and everybody else who worked on it, is amazing. So the first thing they talk about is the Bountiful Strand. So that's basically the title of it. And as you can see, I thought these places were going to be like, I don't know, a bar or a tavern or like a cave or a place in the forest or a keep or whatever. No, these places are actually, like I said earlier in the video, what I call like mini campaign settings. There are actually areas within a campaign setting that you, maybe your own campaign setting, you can just drag and drop this in. And as you know me, you know that I like drag and drop plug and play content. So they have a few, so they have an entire lore bit here about what this land is and what happened and all that stuff. They have a village here that is called Seagull's Nest. They have some points of interest that has a lot of stuff going on, and that is how they set it up. So there is always an overarching plot. In this case, I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm going to dumb it down for the sake of the video. So if I'm murdering this, dear creators, dear writers, I'm so entirely absolutely sorry for that, but I will murder it anyway. There's basically sea raiders who got defeated or came into like a storm, and the ships capsized against some rocks here, and some survived, and they lived there in these reefs for a long time, and they kind of ate a poisonous fish for a very long time, erasing their memories. So now they all started creating rowboats after a while and started moving out and going back into the lands. They are now slowly getting their memory back, and they are raiding like coastal villages and ships that are trying to catch fish. All of that stuff is going on right now. So that is the basic setup of what is going on in this area. But as you can see, there's many points of interest here. There's even like a dragon drawn here. There's a sea monster drawn here. And they talk about the land and the people. They go into like what Seagull's Nest is. They don't have like this entire thing for Seagull's Nest where they have every tavern and all the politics laid out, but they have a basic idea of everything. And when I started reading through this, I got ideas for running a campaign. I could run my players from levels 1 all the way up to level 10 just in this area if I want to. That's how rich this is. Although it's just a couple of pages, it's incredibly rich. I'm going to try to give you some examples right here. So there is this overarching plot, and as I said in the beginning of the video, what they do with this is all of the encounters that are in here for this area, they are all separate encounters that you can just run for your players. You can drag and drop into your game, either in this area or either in an area in your game, or you can tie some of them together and just have like a few encounters that have a overarching theme, or you can tie all of them together, and then you even get like a bonus encounter, quote unquote bonus encounter, that kind of creates closure for some kind of overarching plot slash storyline thingy, which I think is proper design and is done very, 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 very well. So they go into the encounters overview view. So they have a few encounters. Call it even, Seagull's Nest, tile changes. Let's just a vibrant fishing town is floating market is temporarily shut down as workers are greasing and tending to the anchors that pin it to the ground. The party may help them getting oil, either through whale hunting or stealing oil from the reef raiders. So the reef raiders are these raiders that are raiding everywhere, right? That's the overarching plot. So, but there is this town called Seagull's Nest, and they have a floating marketplace. But the marketplace is being pinned down with ropes through the water, probably, or something like that, to the bottom of the ocean. And every now and then, they get together and they like retie the knots and redo some ropes and all of that jazz. And the party members can help with that by getting oil. They can do that by going whale hunting, or they can just slay the reef raiders. So this is entirely separate encounter, but it ties into that overarching theme of those reef raiders. There's the first encounter, for example, is called Call It Even. Reef raiders and Seagull's Nest patrollers apparently fought to the death. Their remains are at the top of a cliff. The party must decide what to do with the bodies, which influences how the locals regard them in the future. They may be attacked by flying creatures while there. There's also a one, I'm going to read it right here, which is easier for my eyes. Gold Rush. A noble visitor of Seagull's Nest has heard of the beachcombing parties trying their luck in Luckernuth and wants to try it himself. He wants to hire a party to protect him in his little adventure. He's an imposter, however. He intends to lure the party into a trap far from town. So all of these things, there is also like one straightforward which is called a hitman, where you actually just get the job of killing the leader of the reef raiders, right? There is the floating market has finally reopened. The party hears of the celestial trader, who's deeply interested in treasure and blesses visitors in exchange for donations and interesting beachcombed finds. So these are all of the encounters. Then you're like, okay, great, there's the encounters. Then they literally go for every encounter. So there's let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 encounters. There is a main development thing. That can happen when you do some of the encounters. What can happen in what situation? For example, when you kill the leader of the Reef Raiders, what can happen after that? All of that stuff. And then for every encounter, they have an entire thing. They have a background. They have the encounter itself written like a mini adventure. Almost, it's basically an adventure. They call it an encounter. But it is an adventure. They have art for it separately for that encounter. They have tips for scaling the combat. Well, it's not tips for scaling the combat. It's exactly what you need to do when you do this encounter for a certain level. Let's say you're playing at tier 1 level range 3 and 4. Then the creatures you're using for this particular encounter are 3 giant vultures and 3 vultures or 1 manticore. So it is, every one of these is a basic mini adventure, almost like one of those one-page adventures, right? So you have backgrounds, you have the encounter, you have how to scale the encounter, you have the overarching plot, how it all ties into the overarching plot, you have the development, the outcome, and the reward. That's only 1 of 7, right? And then every one of these comes with a battle map. A battle map, if you get the PDF, you get this in the PDF, but you get it separately. You can place it in your virtual tabletop, you can print it, whatever, you can put it on your table. These are high resolution battle maps that you can use. I don't use battle maps, we all know I'm a theater of the mind kind of person, but it's just really cool to have them. From a consumer perspective, it's absolutely bonkers. There's even like dead people here. And this is for every encounter, right? There's one encounter called Seagull's Nest. It's the same thing. There's a background, there's an encounter, there's separate art because they're talking about the market right here. There's all of this stuff about the oil, stealing it back. It's just about the mayor of the town. And there is, of course, the map you need in order to run this. The encounter itself is right here. There's another map. Every encounter has its own map. There's, again, scaling combat for what level are you running this. So what I think is great, and I said this 2 years ago when I was talking about this when it was still a Kickstarter, I love content that where you flip through a book, take a book, and you're not looking at stuff that suits the level of your characters. No, you're looking for stuff that suits your game. And then you look at what stuff you need to take in order to make it have sense for the level of your party. Am I making any sense? I'm probably making sense. You know what I mean, right? Title changes, again, another map. It's more artwork. Look at this. This is really cool artwork. This is like the bad guy that you can go defeat. There's Gold Rush. All of these encounters that, yeah, it's just incredibly crazy stuff right here. And after all the encounters with their own backstory, how they tie into the overarching plots, with their own outcome, their own rewards, their own tables, their own creatures, all of that stuff, you get a new, this is like for only the first place still, right? So a new lineage called Reef Touched. So the raiders, they lived among the reefs for a long time, so they're now basically reef touched, but it's also a player option, which is really cool to have. For example, let's just look into it really quickly what that means. You are medium or small. You choose the size when you gain this lineage. Walking speed is 30 feet. If you replace a race with this lineage, you can keep the following elements of your original race. Skill proficiency, okay. Blindside, languages, let's say. Let's see what else you get. Natural armor covered with barnacles, and parts of your body have rough coral-like shells. It's really cool. When you aren't wearing armor, your AC is 12 plus your constitution modifier. You can use your natural armor to determine your AC if the armor you wear would leave you with a lower AC. A shield benefits as normal. As a bonus action, when you make a weapon attack, you can add poison to a weapon or piece of ammunition to deal an extra 1d8 poison damage with that attack. The poison lasts until the end of your next turn or after hitting the creature with it for the first time after applying it. This damage increases. Cool. It's just a cool new thing that they have, right? And then there's another appendix, which is the creatures. So all of the creatures you use, a lot of them are actual new creatures they came up with, new stat blocks. So there's new stat blocks in here. There's a new character option. There's 7 encounters that all make sense for an overarching plot, or you can use them separately. All of their lore, all of their stuff going on. There is this returning spear. This magical spear immediately teleports back to your hands after you hit or miss with a ranged attack. Just a little magic item they thrown in here. And that's basically it for amazing encounters and places. No, I'm lying. There's a few more things in here, and there's only like one downside that I have about this book, and it is some of its art is not consistent. There's a few art pieces in here that are all separately very good art pieces, but they're just in a completely different style, which I've always found to be like a downside in books that do that. I just, for me, when I'm flipping through a book, I want art to be consistent, but that's just me being nitpicky. Other than that, this might be the best book that I will be reviewing in 2023. This is the best value. It is insanely well written, insanely well built. Anybody who plays any fantasy setting, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, can use this content, take it out of the book, drop it in their game in a matter of seconds. I'm really happy I got a copy of this, and if you're interested in it, make sure to click the link in the description below, and until next video, bye-bye.